Time now for the press review with Sharon Gaffney. Sharon, good to see you. You're starting out with the ongoing and very public spat over the AUKUS security pact.
Yes, Delano, and the French submarine deal, it's still causing waves despite that phone call on Saturday between the French president and his US counterpart. Le bust-up, so says the Daily Mail. That's how it's describing the rift on its front pages. A subtle swipe also at Emmanuel Macron, with the newspaper telling us that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is comparing him to a jilted lover. Now, there is a more measured tone from The Guardian, as you might expect. Donnez-moi un break, or give me a break, it says, quoting Boris Johnson. The newspaper fears he may have reopened the rift with Macron, just as Washington was trying to calm the waters.
Now here in France, the head of the company who signed the ill-fated deal has finally broken his silence.
Yes, in an interview with Le Figaro, Pierre-Éric Pommelet says the cancellation of the contract came like a bolt out of the blue, that everybody at the company was left in shock. He said that just that morning he had received an email from the Australian government confirming that the deal was on track, but then just hours later it emerged that the contract had in fact been torpedoed. Finally then, on that story, a cartoon from the satirical weekly Le Canard Enchaîné, as the row rumbles on. It's asking how far French anger will go. As you can see there, President Macron emerging from the top of a black submarine that's headed straight for New York, where he's demanding that the Statue of Liberty be returned to Paris.
Be returned to Paris, indeed. Now, we've talked about this a lot this week. Thousands of mostly Haitian migrants who've been camped under a bridge in the hope of crossing into the United States for a better life. How has the Mexican media been treating the story?
Well, El País, it says that Joe Biden doesn't actually know what to do with the waves of migrants who are trying to reach the US. The newspaper says that hundreds of thousands of people have been on the move since Biden announced the end of his predecessor's infamous immigration policies. And in an opinion piece there, the newspaper says that immigration may in fact prove to be the scandal that eventually paves the way for a return to Donald Trump to the White House. Elsewhere, Diario focuses on the reaction of local officials. It says that Texas put up a barricade of vehicles to try to stop undocumented Haitian migrants from reaching Texas.
Now, in other news, Melvin Van Peebles has passed away.
Yes, the Hollywood Reporter is among those paying tribute to the influential filmmaker and actor Melvin Van Peebles, who's died at the age of 89. Describing him as the godfather of black cinema, the website says the Chicago native was a link to a younger generation of African-American directors, including the likes of Spike Lee and John Singleton.
Moving on now to the death of a young American woman that sparked widespread national interest in the United States. Tell us more.
Yes, 22-year-old Gabrielle Petito disappeared while she was on a road trip with her fiancé. They took to the road back in July, cross-country trip across the United States. Sadly, she disappeared. Her body was recovered earlier this month. Now, the New York Times says the disappearance of this young woman and her death, it's galvanised the internet, largely because of the online sleuthing of amateur detectives, as people literally go online to speculate about what might have happened to her. And the newspaper says it's rare for a single case to capture so much public attention. And the fact that it is capturing that kind of attention, it's something that's upsetting the families of other young women who've died in similar circumstances, and they're questioning the media coverage of the case. Some of them have been speaking to the Washington Post, saying that their missed loved ones matter too. And the newspaper says the story has revived that perennial question about why some of these cases attract such a dedicated response among people and others barely draw any attention at all. And it says that perhaps there's some kind of racial disparity at play there.
Probably. And then the whole element of do you want this out on social media it's another thing to worry about. And finally from you, Sharon, and New Zealanders could soon be able to get a COVID jab with a burger and chips.
Would you like a Pfizer with that?
I've already had my Pfizer and I didn't get any burgers and chips, I can tell you that much.
Well, the New Zealand government is currently in talks with KFC and some other fast food outlets as it aims to fully vaccinate 90% of the population there in New Zealand. So this could see people given a jab as they queue to collect their chicken wings.
Delicious. Sounds great. Thank you very much for that, Sharon. Sharon Gaffney there with the press review.